Questions deep yet full of jest. Come on in, you found the best. Between two giants here you'll find wit and wisdom intertwined. Laughs and knowledge hand in hand. This is the show that's in
Holy
command.
shit. Yeah, we're doing it again.
Yeah. I mean, once a week. But, I mean, people won't know, but I'm going to be gone the next 2 Mondays for work training. So we're going to have a hiatus.
Thank
and
God.
we have to catch back up. And
Do we have to?
I mean, you could just stop answering, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
Although I don't want to disappoint our Polish listeners.
Yeah. I want to hit 50. 50 is like it's a milestone.
50 Polish listeners?
No, 50 podcasts.
We got a ways to go.
I mean, we're
like full podcasts?
Oh, yeah.
We're
like
at 31.
This is like 33, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who edits them and posts them up
I
there?
think he just released 30.
I don't think that's
I think so.
anyway.
Anyways,
Okay.
but anyway, so first off, Michael got a super duper awesome new golf cart.
This context is important. This neighborhood is very golf cart heavy.
Oh yeah,
And
now we have a new king because that golf cart
Well,
is sick.
not far off. I am the president of the Coronado Hoodlums, which is the only golf cart club in Coronado.
That's it.
Also, I was interviewed on KJZZ about the golf cart club
Really?
many moons ago.
That's crazy. It was weird.
So I didn't have one for a while, so I felt like I was a kind of shit.
Yeah, he pulled him in last week to do the episode, and there was like 2 Secret Service guys running next to it, just protecting you and protecting probably more the cart than you.
100%. I am not worth much.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to explain how awesome this cart is?
It's big for one.
Okay.
It's technically a 6-seater, so it's got a back that folds. You could do cargo, and then it's got 2 rows of actual seats.
Yeah.
It's over the top.
It is.
It's more than you need, honestly. But we're like,
Okay.
the big change, if you know, I'm sure this is boring for most people, but the big thing is it's lithium. So if you have an old golf cart, like I used to have, it had lead acid batteries, which require maintenance constantly and they always die. So lithium you charge, I don't know, once every 3 months or so. So there's really no maintenance to it. So that was the big upside.
Yeah.
But we are, what I'm going to say, popular.
Yeah.
So it was important to have a big golf cart.
Okay. And you're saying the we is not you and me. Let's
Correct.
clarify.
It's more my wife. I'm not anything.
Don't want to take anything away from the Madam President of the Hoodlums.
We actually have license plate, Coronado Hoodlums. And all that.
That's
So if you want to
amazing.
join, the only prerequisite is you have to have a golf cart.
Wow. Awesome. What is the 0 to 60 on that bad boy?
Max speed is 27 miles an hour.
Wow.
Right. I don't know 0 to 60.
I mean, it is.
Right.
It's
But it's kind of like lights and shit.
It's
and
got
there's
a
big old
backup camera
It's got a backup noise.
and AirPlay, like a screen where you can hook up AirPlay.
Oh, and I know the best thing is that when you saw it for the first time, the screen had a AAA button on it. So if you get stuck, you just hit AAA and
it's like a modern car
It is
screen.
pretty
like
much a
those-
car. Yeah. But it's street legal. You can drive it on the street and all that shit.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Take you to Tucson.
Slowly.
Yeah, I did see on 12th Street right now, there's a trailer with a golf cart that has 3 rows and then the back row that is bigger than yours, but yours is
It's too much.
so much cooler.
Yeah, of course. Because I'm in it.
Yeah. I mean, just parked, it's cooler with you in it.
Yep.
Epic.
Yep. I think I'm gonna do like the White Snake video, recreate it. I'm gonna just lay on the hood of it.
Yeah, like it's big enough you could plank on it. You know?
100%.
Yeah.
Right.
Comfortably.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
No, it's very nice. Anyway, so
that's exciting.
Michael's the coolest person in the world. We get
Once
it.
again.
Once
Oh.
again. Your old one was kind of looked like a Ferrari or something. It was like a red.
It was a
like
little like sports car.
Yeah,
It was like
like-
a convertible.
Yeah, it was epically like
It was-
uniquely cool.
The best thing about it was it was so small.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
So it looked like I was driving like a Matchbox car.
Yeah. You steer with like your not your knee, but your knee
My
pit.
other, yeah, you know what I mean.
Ayo.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right. Well, should we do our episode?
I guess.
Okay, fine. So we have a guest today.
We do?
We do.
Oh, I thought I was going to stop talking.
He's right there. He's like, let's talk about my cart more. We have Colin on the episode today who lives here in Coronado.
Say hi, Colin.
Hey, how are y'all?
Yeah. Do I say hi, Colin, too?
No, well, you
okay.
can say hi, Colin.
Hi, Colin. Thanks for coming down. It's fun that we were doing this episode and I threw out because we had some cancellations and I just didn't book early enough, and we threw it out of the message board like, hey, anybody want to come down and do the episode?
I'm a last minute emergency.
Yeah, man. And we had one, and then actually our 5 o'clock canceled, and then Colin just here. We're like, sweet, you want some wine?
I feel
That's because you told me I should come.
Yeah,
I remember.
I was awesome. I was like, all right, sweet. And
I feel like the Colin's behind glass in case of emergency. You just break it and Colin comes out.
yeah, everyone needs a Colin.
Emergency Colin.
He doubles as a fire extinguisher.
Don't we all, Brian?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
technically.
true. That's
okay.
true. So welcome to the show, Colin.
Thanks.
We know a little bit about you, but we're going to learn a lot more about you.
Oh,
And he's I'll let him explain it, but he's on a little bit of a hiatus because of the job he does. But let's start off with the old standard: how long you been in the neighborhood, and how the hell did you end up in Coronado?
I hear it's a good story.
I heard he told us it was a good story. He didn't tell us a story. So
We'll see.
it's on the internet. You wrote it's a good story, so better show up, buddy.
All right. Well, so 2019 was when I got here. I moved into a house that was owned by a local fella named Perry Kepley. He owned several properties in the neighborhood. So I was on the home tour.
Oh, nice.
2019 home tour,
Appreciate
February.
that.
Right. And I'm looking at one of the houses up there in Country Club Park, which, I guess is kind of Coronado sometimes.
Yeah.
And across the street, there's this house with a for rent sign. And so my husband and I, we go in there and the landlord's standing there in the kitchen. The house totally empty. Right.
Yeah.
For rent sign. And
Just waiting.
yeah, just
He's
waiting
making an
apparently,
omelet or
right?
what's going on?
And we look around, and I'm kind of like, I don't see visions very well, right? When I go into an empty house, my reaction is kind of like, it looks like an empty house.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess the couch fits there.
Where
I don't know.
Right, but my husband loved the place. My husband is the stereotypical gay in that way, right? He sees like how things could be decorated ahead of time. I don't have those skills. All I have is like, I know all the lyrics to West Side Story. That's my like stereotypical gay trait, right? But
Odd skill.
yeah, seriously.
But we're in there, and the landlord's there, and my husband Dave's like, hey, we'd like to rent this place. And so he's like, well, I was gonna sell it, but if that falls through. And so then that fell through, and then we moved in, and in 2024, last year, the landlord died.
Oh God!
We had a really good.
You killed him?
No, well, we had a great
It's the only way to
relationship
get
with
a
him.
house
Really,
in this neighborhood now, bro.
but yeah, I mean, he died in February of 2024, and we were kind of on a month to month. I mean, we hadn't had a lease in a while, and he, in his will, he left left the house to his brother, who lives back in North
I thought
Carolina.
you were going to say you, and I'd be
Well,
like,
that
"You
would be amazing,
son of a
wouldn't
bitch."
That-
Thanks for stopping by.
He did kind of treat us like sons in a way. In all the best and not so good ways. I mean,
Oh, neat.
He was a wonderfully attentive landlord. He also would be like, you boys, you're not keeping your solar lights straight in your front yard. He's from North Carolina, right? He had that dialect.
Disappointed dad.
Yeah.
Right, so he would have the helpful and disappointed dad. He kind of combined those two things, and he left the house to his brother. His brother lived in North Carolina, and his brother basically said, "I don't want to keep this. Do you want to buy it?" And we were like, "Okay, sure." So we bought the house, and that was convenient because all our stuff was already there.
Yeah,
so.
it's way easier to move when you live there.
Just pick up a cup, put it down. Okay, done.
And I've always, our house isn't that interesting. Like we're probably not a home tour house, but I've always wanted to be on the Coronado home tour. So I couldn't be so I could be different from all those people who are like, they found this place and they, had this vision and, they waited 2 years for it to be remodeled. And then they moved in and I could be like, oh, we were already renting it. And then we just got to buy it.
Yeah.
I've never seen that in the Coronado home tour brochure.
Landlord to die so we could feel comfortable letting people into our house that we own.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good. It's always a good mix to I think on the home tour of like, holy shit, this was expensive. And like, oh, this is just like your little personal space and it's not gigantic, but really cool.
Right.
That's great.
So that's the story of how I ended up being a homeowner in Coronado.
All right. How did you find the house to rent it? Were you just like, it was just on the, it was just,
yeah, it was on the home tour.
Home tour.
So the deal was that, we were in the Coronado home tour because my husband's cousin already lived in the neighborhood. He's a renter here as well. Yeah. So, right. So, his family bringing us in and all that sort of thing. Right.
That's how they get you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I used to go to the various Porch concerts before I really lived here. And
Ooh.
Dave's cousin would be like, don't tell people you don't live here. Right?
You would have gotten stoned.
Yeah. The last one, there was like 250 people. And it was like, holy cow, this is the entire neighborhood or Glendale people here.
You can smell them.
Yeah.
Glendale people.
Nice. So you already like that's a unique out of all of our guests. We're like, oh, I experienced the porch concert and the home tour. Like I knew this was a place I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, oh crap, we should just, talk to this guy in someone else's kitchen and rent the place.
Right. He looks like he's going to die.
Yeah. I'd be like, how long? You dead 4 years, 6 years? What's your timeline here? Does your brother want this house?
But he was very good to us. Like I say, he was very, very attentive landlord. Almost like we were kind of in a training program for home ownership over there.
He knew all along.
Yeah, he's like, got to flush the hot water heater once a year, buddy.
I'm going to die in 3 years, just so you know.
A laminated playbook in the top drawer in the kitchen and whatnot. It's like, if you don't do it, I'll show up on a Saturday and take care of it for you. I'd be prouder if you did it.
Right. And what do you do for work, Colin?
I'm a high school teacher.
God bless you.
Okay. What grade?
11th and 12th most of the time.
All right. The kick 'em out stage.
That's the U.S. history survey class thing. That's when they have that sort of thing. I teach a couple of electives. I teach an elective on government. I teach an elective on conspiracy theory. Those are my two big electives from the
That's
past.
a curious combo.
That's like,
Hold on.
We have 45 minutes of content. There's a class now on conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I invented that class for the high school, and it was my doctoral dissertation. Basically, it was on the John Birch Society and conspiracy theory. So I got to the school and they're like, we want you to create an elective for the seniors, and I'm like, can I teach one on conspiracy theory? And they're like, sure. So
please,
okay. So that's what I do now.
Do you teach that? Like, what was it method of like they're true, they're not true?
I was going to say, are you
like,
pro or con?
Yeah,
I am understanding. That's how I would put it. I'm not pro. I'm not con. And I try to teach them how to recognize the way conspiracy theories are usually shaped and why they're usually not true, and why it's kind of understandable people believe in them, because the CIA used to poison people in secret in the 50s, right?
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that happened, but we know that's a historical.
Our government does bad stuff?
Of course,
he's teaching right now.
Oh, sorry.
So I don't want to go down a weird rabbit hole, but I am a huge flat moon guy.
Oh, are you? Flat moon.
Flat moon.
Flat Earth guy.
I know, but no one's a flat moon guy.
That's my joke I made up. That's
You
one of my
did. It's
favorites.
pretty good.
Yeah,
Well
I use
done.
it a lot.
Well, the joke is, right, that if Stanley Kubrick had really directed the moon landings, they'd look a lot better than they actually do. Right? So
It's very Scorsese.
It's a megalodon anyway.
Right. Yeah. Good Lord.
Okay, so now that we're going to talk about conspiracy theory,
Oh, God.
again, if you want.
I'm just kind of curious, like, what is the teachings that like just teach them how to like not just read a headline and be like repeat it like a
Right.
monster? Is that basically
Right.
the synopsis of it?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a pattern to kind of these typical American conspiracy theories since about 1798, right? So 1798 was when this Englishman named John Robison wrote the first book on the Illuminati, right? And he blamed the French Revolution on the Illuminati. He was like, it wasn't a spontaneous uprising of oppressed people. It was because the Freemasons and the Illuminati tried to make it happen, and they want to destroy Christianity, and Thomas Jefferson is one of them, and if he becomes president, then there's going to be blood running in the streets, right? That was kind of the first big American
So it
conspiracy
started,
theory.
the first one was fear, terror, scary.
Right.
It just hasn't changed.
And that pattern tends to get recycled with each one of them. And, now, of course, Beyonce and Jay-Z are in the Illuminati, right? That's kind of the...
Jigga Man?
So just kind of recognizing these patterns across time is kind of...
Same thing.
It's not the same thing, but it's the same kind of pattern, right? So... Yeah, I mean, and absolutely true, right? Like MK Ultra was real, right? Like the CIA really did do like brain experiments on people that were harmful. That's really true. But the thing about conspiracy theories is that they tend to imagine that these great secrets can be kept over hundreds of years and nobody's going to spill the beans. Now, I mean, the truth is, right, that, if that sort of thing were real, somebody probably would have come out and said, yeah, I was in the Illuminati and I started the French Revolution or something like that, right? Or somebody would probably, just come out and say, well, this
Jay-Z's
pattern
a
has been
weirdo.
here. Yeah, something. Right.
Wow.
So it's really the thing that makes conspiracy theories different from actual conspiracies, as I tend to teach the kids, right, is it's if it's claimed that this has been going on for hundreds of years and it remains unchanged and the plan was hatched in 1789 or something like that.
So that's the difference between a conspiracy and a conspiracy theory.
Right. And of course, media, and even NPR doesn't make that distinction anymore. People talk about conspiracies when they mean conspiracy theories. theories. Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy. That's cool. I mean, is there a lot of schools that teach this, or are you?
I think more and more are, because I mean they're everywhere, right?
I don't
mean,
think
that's-
there's a choice based
Yeah.
on just the volume of shit that kids get through their
Oh
screens.
yeah, and like AI is growing and whatnot. And
Yeah.
I saw some videos the last month or so where it's like AI was now with only 5 fingers and talking, like very like hi, like very, very convincing. Like, do you add that into it at all, or like talk about like how to recognize if it's like real or fake, or and then decide if this is a real thing? It's like
Yeah,
you got to feel
yeah.
that's real or fake, and then decide what they're talking about is real or fake.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you an example of that kind of
Please.
thing, right? More recent than 1789. So
AI started then, though.
I was there.
there's this cardiologist who used to work at Baylor University in Texas named Peter McCullough, right? And I actually have a video of him kind of hatching the plot. I don't know if it's the only plot, but a big plot sort of to try to get Americans to stop getting the COVID vaccine, right? That was a big thing for him. He's talking with all these people on a Zoom call about how we're going to discourage people from getting the COVID vaccine.
Okay.
And he's like, we got to convince them that this stuff might cause cancer, and it's not been tested. And so you can kind of see this getting created in real time.
Yeah.
And the point there I try to make with watching the little piece of the Zoom call is, he may be an expert. He's a cardiologist. He has the expertise. He has the qualification. Why shouldn't we trust him? Well, we shouldn't trust him because he believes Bill Gates is trying to kill off the world population, right? So if you find an expert who believes something ridiculous that's unrelated to his expertise, you should doubt that person's expertise, right?
Don't just listen to their
Right.
their information, but like, what else are you saying? Like,
Right.
what is your
Right.
belief system?
Right, exactly.
Like, just again, going back to like the volume of stuff that just comes at you every day. Who's got the time for that?
People with PhDs in history.
okay.
I don't-
So high school kids,
High school teachers.
our future.
No, but I mean, like, just the average person to
Yeah.
be able to sift through that with enough,
Yeah.
I don't know, detail to
Yeah.
figure out what's real, what's not. Okay, so we realize that's real, but are they saying what are they saying? Is that real? Like, it's just,
And what else have they said?
which is why I put my head in the sand and I just wait.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's a challenge, right? Because it requires, and I'm not the best at this either, right? We're all of our attention spans are getting shorter, right?
Yeah.
And so, I myself will sometimes post something on Facebook. I'm 40, so I still use Facebook.
Yeah. There's something else.
So cute.
Yeah. But, I'll sometimes post something on Facebook that turns out to be fake because I just didn't take the time to
research
investigate,
it,
right?
yeah.
And that's what we have to tell people to try to do, is just take
Yeah.
a moment, be like, that's a really nice quotation by the Pope.
Yeah.
It really, really supports your belief system. But can you take a second to make sure he actually said it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing we got to
Nice.
encourage people.
Yeah, anyone can say anything and just
Right.
try to make it
And
real.
there's just another piece of news that follows that. I'm always just like, anybody says something like, did you read more than the headline?
Right.
Because it reads at the very bottom, like, from an unknown source. I'm like, so I'm an unknown source. I could tell Michael something, or just email something.
Right. It's interesting how those things kind of take seed
Yeah.
and germinate.
Yeah.
Like, just,
Yeah. It's so easy. Certain people are like, cool, you just gave me all the headlines from this news station. Or
yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah. So, like, if Brian were to tell me something and I don't look into it, and I would tell my wife,
and you
like,
just regurgitate it.
I heard today, not from anybody, just like
Yeah.
I heard the blah, blah, blah. And then she would, and so on and so on and so on. Ugh.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times with the wife, it'd be like, did you read the article? Or they do it and it's bullshit. And then like a month later, actually, this wasn't true. Like, nobody cares. It's been said so many times. It's expanded out there.
Yeah.
Not an advertiser at all, but you ever look at Ground News?
I don't know about ground news.
Okay, it's not an advertiser. It's like
News about the ground.
No, it's an app or news thing, but you can go in there. It'll tell you like a story. It'll tell you if it's left, right, like what stations are doing it, and also it's really interesting. Or like what this story, here's what the right's saying, what's the left saying, and all that kind of narrows down where you could just plug into what you want to hear, and you will be just fed that shit all day long.
How do you know they're telling the truth?
Well, because they show who owns it. It's all dialed in. Like here's this story, and then like here's what's coming from this station. It tells you like what station is selling what article, so you can read. It's really interesting.
That's a great suggestion for a class
Yeah.
thing to put them toward. I mean, I think, lately, the past few years, I've been pushing them toward rumble.com with the, caveat that it's mostly fake. But, where do you go to find examples of conspiracy theory now that YouTube actually removes the shit, right?
Yeah.
But actually pointing them toward a good, like, news source would be a good idea, too.
It was funny. I did a deep dive during COVID because I was stuck on my couch like the rest of us, and I'd watch different stations of news, and then I'd watch, what's happening with COVID and all that, and then I would like watch the entire thing, and then I'd be like, I'm gonna go to this news station. I bet they're gonna talk about this, and they're gonna talk about this. So I was getting down where I can nail the exact point that they're gonna point out and what late night's gonna do. It's very much like you plug into what you want to hear this day and age. Yeah. If you plug in, Michael's unplugged.
I gotta. I kind of was joking about stick my head in sand, but honestly, like even before the last election, the presidential election, I just didn't care. Yeah. And that's a terrible thing to say, but between sifting through what's real, what's not, and then when you find out the stuff that's true is true, you're like, ugh, now it's even worse because now I'm super bummed. It's just easier for me to just not pay attention. And I've gotten very much, I just control what I can control. Right. So in my neighborhood, my bubble, that's the information. Those are the people, those are the stories I'm interested in. Beyond that, if it's really important, I'll hear about it.
And the polarization of politics, if I can just get into that, right? I mean, like, personally, like what amazes me, I don't in my community, in my close friend group, I'm sure there's people in Coronado, right? But I don't know them well. I only know one person who's really close to me who voted for Trump. I know a shit ton of people who are close to me who didn't vote for anybody. Because they're so just
what's the
pissed
point?
off about everything, right? My circle is either apathetic or voting for Democrats because they're better than the other or something, and it is, it's kind of sad to be in this moment.
The apathy thing is, I hate to say I am, but I'm just like, look, a good friend of the show, Adrian Fontes, is like, go gadget and do everything, whatever. And I appreciate people that have that kind of passion. I just don't, because nothing changes. Like you insert whoever into that position, and it just doesn't seem to like no seismic shift, I guess. So like, what's the point?
And like, as you've been doing this for a while, how many years have you been teaching?
2016 was when I started teaching high school, and I did some graduate student college teaching before that.
So a good decade of it. Like with all this, just because I'm going to stop talking about politics.
My head's going to explode.
I know. Yeah. It's like when you started, was it the same grade area you were teaching? Okay. So you've been teaching 17, 16 to 18-year-old kids. Like what have you seen? Like, I always think about this, like, man, as being a teacher, it's got to be a tough job. Like my sister's been an educator forever. She runs 3 schools now. My sister-in-law has been the same thing in a rough neighborhood here in Phoenix, like 15, 16 years. Like what have you seen change like in the student behavior, like to capture them and deliver the message and make them want to be attentive? Like,
I mean, I think that what I've seen is, in my school, their behaviors haven't become bad behaviors. I mean, in a way, like the kids I taught last year, like every teacher's dream, right? They'll sit there and they'll be attentive for the most part.
Okay.
But what they've lost, I think, is joy and to an extent response, right? So it used to be that like I could say something that I thought was funny and my students would laugh. And now they tend to have a lot of blank stares. There's
a human interaction.
There's a human engagement aspect that seems to have gone. One other thing too, right, is when I started teaching high school, I was 31. My students were on Facebook too. We kind of existed in the same social media universe in 2016. We now no longer exist in the same social media universe, right? They're on TikTok. I've tried TikTok. A good friend said, I don't know, have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy? That one. Okay, so a good friend of mine said, TikTok is ow my balls, and I'm like, that is perfect. Yes, that's pretty much what it is.
Almost did a spit take. I just took a drink of beer on that. That was close.
That's what we should have called the podcast.
Damn it, dude.
But I mean, their social media universe is totally different. I think they're not not accustomed to responding conversationally in real
it's
time.
just absorb,
Right.
absorb.
So
not
they
dive
want me, right? When I started teaching high school, one of the things I thought about shift from college to high school was I have to stop being so lecture heavy. I need to be more conversational.
Interactive.
And that worked really, really well for a few years. And now it's like my students want me to just lecture at them all the time.
Yeah. Just
And I'm
feed
like-
me information.
And like, I don't want to do that. It's 75 minutes. I'm not just going to talk at
Right.
you.
Have you tried dancing while you're doing it?
Yes. I mean, that's, yeah, right.
There's like
'Cause
a green
sometimes-
screen involved. And shit.
There's those circle lights on.
Yeah.
You're like, hey,
Because,
kids.
being a teacher is a little bit like being a stand-up comedian in the sense
Yeah.
that if the audience is not picking up what you're putting down,
yeah.
it feels awful.
Yeah,
Right. So you're kind of, you want to do something to liven them up or make them smile or something.
It's interesting that it just didn't occur to me because I'm not a teacher, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I do teach the children to lead the way.
Praise be.
No,
I missed
they
it.
are the future. The children are the future.
yeah.
Teach them well. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah, sorry, I don't have one.
that's okay. But it's interesting that their reception of you is in my mind, when you were talking about that, it's very much like a screen shouting at them information.
Yeah.
Same thing. That's how they expect information to come to them. People just tell them stuff.
Yeah,
So
and
they
just
either
believe it.
absorb it or it kind of goes away. Yeah, and I think that the screen culture has it's just completely obliterated the ability to have a conversation with people
Yeah.
without texting.
Yeah. And
At one point, someone smaller than me and younger than me,
everyone.
was texting someone in the same car.
Yeah.
Like, can we not? I mean,
Were they
just
talking shit
talk.
about you or?
And it is funny. It's funny, right? How different people, even older folks sometimes, right, have adapted to this faster than others. I think my husband, who's 44, has adapted to this way better than I have.
Yeah.
Like, because for the longest time, I would tell him, hey, we're doing this thing on this date. And he would be like, well, did you put it on the shared calendar? And I'd be like, dude, I don't want to have to put it on a fucking shared
Yeah.
calendar.
Right.
I want us to be able to remember the things we're doing together.
I just
off the
did.
top
I
of our
told
heads.
you.
Yeah, no, my wife will put it on the shared calendar. I'll ask her. She's like, "It's on the shared calendar." And I was like,
I don't
okay.
look at that.
And I was like, "Yeah." I get a notification, then I just delete
Yeah.
from my brain, not my calendar.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it's he is a person who would text me while in the house, right? I mean, that just
I mean,
I don't know why. but
holy
it's kinda-
Christ. Can we just talk to people?
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
So with the kids, like attention and responses and
The
whatnot.
kids.
Sorry, I'm sorry. The almost adults,
The youths. The youths.
Yeah, the youths. Like with you, like with the evolution of this, like you said they're like less interactive in their like do they like just ask less questions or just like it's just there's no follow up, they just believe what you say versus questioning.
I think there's that. There's less questioning.
They just believe it.
There's fewer. I mean, before a test, there'll be a bunch of questions, right?
Yeah.
But
I haven't been listening. I've been absorbing, but I've
but yeah, it used to be that I had more students who would actually like raise an objection to something I said, or like, I don't get this because you said this, but then I read about this other thing. And frankly, like when you're a teacher, that is like the magic moment. That is right. It's like, fuck. Okay. So maybe I got this incomplete and I can look at ways that I got it incomplete. And that's going to make next year's class so much more interesting. Right.
It makes you a good teacher too. You're just not like, you're wrong.
Because I don't necessarily think. And the truth is, when you've been educated by other people for a long time, when you work all the way up to PhD level, right?
Yeah.
One of the professors I respected more than anybody else when I was in my graduate program told me this wonderful story about Winston Churchill, right? When I was in his class, and I'll tell you what it allegedly was. It's that, Winston Churchill talks to the first, female member of parliament, Nancy Astor was her name, right? And he says, I think it's like Nancy Astor says to him, Winston, if you were my husband, I'd put poison in your coffee. Winston says, Nancy, if you were my wife, I'd drink it. It's a wonderful story, right? But, when I looked into it, I realized that story was told about like a shit ton of famous people.
Yeah.
It's not real, right? It's an urban legend type thing, right? And so... Yeah, I mean, even the most kind of eminent professor in my graduate program, he would just say shit sometimes because he'd read it somewhere.
Interesting.
Right? And we all do that.
Have you ever thought about, this is a terrible idea. Have you ever thought about saying something that is completely not true just to elicit some sort of objection from your students?
Flat moon.
Yeah.
Flat moon.
Absolutely. And it used to work better than it does now.
Yeah.
Right.
Now they're just like, okay.
Yeah.
Are they allowed to have phones in the class, or is like no phones?
I do let them have phones in the class. I may not next year.
Okay.
And the reason for that, right, is that, well, for one thing, my whole school is thinking about banning phones in every
You
classroom.
kind of have to. Right?
Yeah, I mean, unless they're
But,
like,
you know,
"Hey, challenge me by looking shit up," and for your class, it could kind of prove your point.
And when I started in 2016, and I was one of the younger teachers, I really like to capitalize on being young and cool and relaxed, and that worked.
Those good old days.
That worked. My students, I had a couch in the room. Sometimes one of my students would just be lounging on the couch, but they could still learn that way, right? That was my attitude. And I thought, they have their phones. They can look shit up while I'm talking.
Yeah.
If they want to verify something, they can go ahead and look that
Sounds
up.
like
And
a
a lot of
good
them
thing.
did. But I realize now that, right, they're not using their phones to look things up anymore. They're using their phones to...
I got a Candy Crush this second level.
And the thing I notice that looks the strangest from the front of the room, right, are the kids who are literally like using the phone as like a vanity right there.
Oh yeah, they got like the little fish lips and
Right.
all that.
And I
checking
think
their
they're putting the
makeup.
filters on themselves, right? That's
Holy
a Snapchat
shit.
thing.
Like in class, they're doing
Or
that.
when they have like one of those lights and they're doing a dance thing with like 4 of them doing a routine in the back,
Yeah. So, this is why teenagers use Snapchat allegedly, because when I was, when Snapchat was invented, it was for sending nudes. And so when kids were using it in large numbers, I'm like,
I'm getting off Snapchat.
but allegedly kids use it for the filters. That's what I'm told.
I just think we need to go back to tasing.
Yeah, I thought everything was used to send nudes now. I didn't know there was a specific app you use.
I use Telegraph.
Yeah, there you go. That's their Signal. That's the only secure one. That's why I blocked you. I was like, no, I'll just see you Monday with your clothes on. That's crazy. So one other question I have is with the AI coming in, like what is the education's like? Is there a plan to like make sure that things are like people are doing the work? A sidebar. Why I asked is like my buddies. There's a new thing what Google does where you can plug something in or ask a big long question, and then they'll actually take that, put it into a podcast, and two people kind of discuss something, which is great. Like how does this nuclear fission work versus reading or just having it read to you? Like they'll talk about it, but how do you like what is like if in your eyes the education's plan, or not just you but just the whole department, I guess, to control it and make sure it's used positively and not just abused to get people through high school? Because if I had when I was going through high school, holy shit, I would have gotten A's. Like barely got out.
C- you got.
I barely got out of high school, bro.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the weird things. No, there may be kids who are writing brilliant essays with AI, and we don't detect them, and they're getting A's. But the kids who get caught right now with that kind of what we would call academic dishonesty, they don't usually write very good things because what the AI produces, and maybe it's the non-pay version or whatever. I don't know that they're using. Usually, it's really banal and not very interesting.
Yeah. And what they put in is probably not that good.
Yeah. And if it's a research paper, there won't be any citations, right? Because, the AI doesn't do that for them or something. But, the answer to your question, I think, is that unfortunately right now, I think we're in a period where we're almost going backwards to more traditional things.
Okay.
Like in-class tests.
Yeah.
like
I've heard like they're doing the blue, but I read something. I was like, that's pretty great, man.
I mean, those, and it's interesting. Even the kids I teach now will sometimes say that they appreciate that they like sitting there writing by hand, which I didn't expect. But we made a decision as a history department to go back to that, so we went back to that. But there's this other awkward thing where we still feel like we have to assign them research papers.
Yeah.
Because we're a college prep school, we assume the universities are going to make them do it. I'm on my college alumni Facebook group, and I ask them occasionally, "Hey, university professors in here, do you still assign research papers?" And they're all like, "Oh, yes, of course, research papers are absolutely essential." I'm like, "Oh, fuck, okay, I still got to keep it."
Like, fuck, man, I hope you say no.
Well, yeah, because I'm a PhD, right? I wrote a dissertation, but I also recognize that the vast majority of people are not going to write research papers for a living, right? So I think that what you're saying is probably where we're eventually going to get. I think once colleges especially kind of shift their gears is more live presentation of learning stuff, right? Which might be a podcast, which might be a presentation. Just, some example of somebody being able to get up there and talk about what they know. Yeah. Which, in theory, they could get AI to write a script for them, I guess. But, something that's live, something that's interactive.
I'm so glad I'm not a student.
So I have one other question for you.
Yeah.
And it's, your personal opinion. Obviously, you're a PhD, so you're a big believer in college. Like both my sister and sister-in-law, like they're still in education. I think they both have 2 masters.
Yeah.
I'm just like, fuck your brain. But I mean, they're just so smart. I'm like, good God, you're still doing that? Like good for you. But it helps them. Like if, someone's, graduating high school, and you said you're in private school, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, do you recommend like kids go to college? What would you recommendation for like a general, not like, every kid's going to be different, but like, hey, should I go to college? Should I take the debt on? Should I do this? Like, what would your advice? You're not the counselor, you're the teacher.
Right. Well, so I guess I didn't tell you what my institution is, but of course, if I'm speaking for my institution, we're a college prep school. Of course, I have to recommend college.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, I think even in my classroom, even in a college prep school, I occasionally have the kids who I'm just like, you're not college material, but my God, that's the fascinating thing is that frequently the kids who do the worst academically in my classes are the most mature adult-like students. They're the ones who are ready to be out of there.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, like, I think, graduate school was wonderful for me. I loved getting paid $20,000 a year to crisscross the country and do research in archives and write a dissertation. I had a shit ton of fun doing that. But, I'm also gay. There's not as much pressure to like have a relationship and be stable as early. Like, getting a PhD till I was 31 was good for somebody like me.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good for most people. Yeah. And I think college isn't good for some people. Yeah. I think it totally depends on whether you want to be in a classroom environment until you're 22 or 31 or however old. Right. So the whole idea that everybody should go to college, I think is not.
It's worn out.
Yeah. I think it is worn out nowadays. Now, of course, I want to keep on having kids to teach, but
I think you should be pretty safe. Yeah. Pretty safe.
Yeah. There's
people are still making them.
Like roughly 50-50 probably. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I drank my way out of college.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Yeah, I went to my community college and I kind of quit, but then we were moving. So I told them I was still going for 2 more weeks. So I didn't have to help them move.
Good plan.
Yeah, seriously. Best $500 I ever spent.
Yeah.
Nice. You got anything else there, Mr. 602?
What's your favorite lingo you've heard in classroom?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I already told you about Riz. Right.
Yeah, you said the word, but I do not know what that means.
I do. I can tell you the etymology. So Riz comes from the word charisma.
Okay.
And so that is one of the fascinating linguistic things the kids do is they'll shorten, very well established words
because they're lazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's very creative, but to riz a person is to show off your charisma. So if you're like a 15-year-old boy and you riz that hot girl over there, you are showing her your charisma.
Okay. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, can you rate our riz on this podcast?
I think that your riz is off the charts. Wow. And I'm not just saying that because I'm gay and you're a couple of very attractive dudes.
It's true. Well, one of us is.
Once again, we heard that. 1, 2, 3, it.
No, you all have it down. You do the banter. The banter is great. I think
the looks.
Sounds skibbity to me.
Skibbity.
That's the other one. So skibbity. What I don't know about the etymology is that skibbity has something to do with toilet. Right? Skibbity toilet is what they say, and I don't know what the connection there is.
It's like exactly. We just call it blowing it up.
And probably the strangest thing that I ran into, this was a couple of years ago now, so I'm sure it's old, but you know the One Piece.
No,
it's a Japanese anime show. One Piece. Yeah. And there's a line from an episode of the One Piece where one of the characters declares, "The One Piece is real." Right. And so I was chaperoning a trip full of seniors a couple of years ago, and they were like, Dr. Reynolds, the One Piece is real. And I just kept trying to figure. I figured there was some dirty joke involved there or something, something sneaky. And from what I could tell, it literally is just a line from an anime show.
Check your zipper real quick,
And I want to be like, there's no punchline here. You're literally just quoting something and laughing. Wow.
Maybe instead of using words that make nothing, maybe you just use the real word like charisma. Yeah. Use all that energy to actually say the word.
I've just been like skibbity toilet and walk away, you know? Real quick.
I have seen. I'm a TikTok person because I like the insanity of it. It's complete chaos. Believe nothing because it's all fake.
Yeah.
But occasionally you'll see someone, a parent who's dropping their kid off at school,
those are
and he's
great.
like, "Don't have a skippity day," and then she's like dying.
Your
It's
drip's
just
amazing.
so good,
That's
so good. That's really the only reason I have kids. Is embarrassing.
Oh yeah, no shit.
Right.
How old are your kids?
He's 8.
Okay, so not quite
Not
at
yet.
the level.
No, not yet. So, but I'm preparing because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
happening, and I'm so ready.
The problem is you got to Google what's new every
Yeah, that's the
day.
thing.
'Cause
I
it's
need,
just like,
I need like
huh?
a Sherpa, like a language
Yeah.
Sherpa.
Yeah. Keep it on the flippity flop.
Don't be skibbity.
Yeah. Sorry. All right. Well, anything else, Michael?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
This is
you nailed it.
fascinating.
Yeah, this is really good. I'm glad
Yeah.
you just showed up, man. Like seriously, this is super awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Very, very
Yeah, sorry
informative.
you didn't really know what I was going to talk about ahead of time. I guess that
you know what?
Sometimes
we
that's
don't know
the
what we're
best.
going to talk about when we do this thing. Like,
Really for the best.
Yeah.
Any advice for parents who
Yeah.
have kids of your age and not kids your age,
Yeah.
kids in class that you're,
Yeah, especially
yeah.
the kids with no drip that aren't skibbity.
I would say that these days my advice basically is like ask them more about what they're learning because I what I hear more than anything else is so and so never talks to me about school and maybe phrase it differently than what did you learn in school today, maybe something like what was the most interesting thing you learned in school this month, or something to get
Name
them to
the
talk
teacher's
about.
name and know what their class is
Right.
about, and be like, what
Right.
did you learn? And
Because
conspiracy theory
one of the really awesome things that's happened to me is like nothing I do in the classroom is controversial, and I talk about some controversial shit, but the parents never hear about it.
Yeah.
Right. So, that's kind of cool. I'm insulated because these kids never talk to their parents about what they learn in school. But at the same time, I think to create an intellectual environment, it would be wonderful if they did. Literally the only time I ever had a parent object to something I was teaching in the class, it was a bunch of years ago. I had a student who wanted to edit the Wikipedia article on Mary Baker Eddy. She was a Christian Scientist, right? Mary Baker Eddy founded the Christian Scientist movement. And this mother was like, my daughter can't edit the Wikipedia article on Mary Baker Eddy because she's not a theologian. She's not qualified to edit this page about her own religion. And I remember I was just like, well, could she do it as a historian instead of as a theologian? And the mother was like, oh, I guess. And that was it.
Wow.
It's the biggest problem I ever had with a parent.
That's crazy.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, right. I kind of want to go to your family Thanksgiving. So when people say things, you can be like, actually, a lot.
Please allow me to correct you.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Nice.
Well, thanks, Colin. I
Yeah,
really
thanks for
appreciate
coming
it.
on.
Hey,
Yeah, this is
thanks,
great.
y'all.
Yeah, and
This
good
was
luck
fun.
in class.
Yeah, seriously.
Well,
tell
it
the
doesn't
kids
start
that.
again until August.
Oh,
so.
get out while
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You should move to
seriously.
Puerto Rico or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
That's the same country. Hold on. Costa Rica. That's what I meant to say.
there it is.
Different country.
There it is. Less conspiracies, more
Right.
theories.
Probably not.
Also a good name for the podcast.
But it's all in Spanish.
I don't know how to say that.
Okay. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.
Step right up to the wildest show where two big minds are ready to blow. Conversations deep yet full of jest. Come on in, you found the best. Between two giants here you'll find wit and wisdom intertwined. Laughs and knowledge hand in hand. This is the show that's in command. Tall and talking, big in brains, making sense of life's wild lanes. Deep dive chats and fun remain. Bet you won't hear this on the plane. Between two giants here you'll find wit and wisdom intertwined. Laughs and knowledge hand in hand. This is the show that's in command. Two giants here you'll find wit and wisdom intertwined. Laughs and knowledge hand in hand. This is the show that's in command. A stone unturned, no joke too small. Between two giants, hear it all. From silly quirks to knowledge twirls.